It's important to know that making mistakes make you human. Not a bad human, just human. So you can be a good person who makes mistakes as opposed to a bad person because of your mistakes. I'm going to repeat that because it's a very important concept to understand. You can be a good person who makes mistakes as opposed to a bad person because of your mistakes. Once you realize that, once you accept that, it is going to be so much easier and it's going to take you one step closer to forgiving yourself. Hello, 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 beautiful divine people. Welcome back to another edition of Beauty and Beyond with Davion. So you guys, I'm super excited about today because we're going to be talking about forgiveness. So I have a video on forgiveness. I will link it somewhere on the screen and you can go back and look at it because that video of forgiveness is referring to you forgiving other people that have wronged you and how hard it can be and why it needs to be done. So if you're interested in that, absolutely you can watch that video. Today we are going to take that concept of forgiveness to the next level, forgiving ourselves. We go through life sometimes and we're unable to forgive our own selves for mistakes that we have made because we feel guilt over it, we feel shame over it, and it could be a guilt and a shameful thing that we have done, but it is so important to forgive yourself. It is heavy, guys. It's a heavy one today, and for some it can be unbearable. It's an unbearable weight to maintain on our shoulders, you know, when you're not forgiving yourself for mistakes, for past mistakes. So I'm going to give you some pointers and some information on how in the world you can forgive yourself even if you feel like you have committed the unforgivable. Forgiving yourself can seem like a daunting task, especially when feelings of guilt and shame move in to your head and live there with no intention of ever leaving. So stay tuned because I'm going to give you again some useful tips, some pointers, and there are effective tips for how you can forgive yourself once and for all. And I encourage you guys to hit that subscribe button if you're someone who is always looking for ways to better yourself and to feel fierce from the inside out. I would love for you to join this community. Let's just get started right here, right now. Beauty and Beyond with Davion. Okay, so firstly, you guys, there are major benefits to forgiving yourself after you have made mistakes in life, big or small. If you've been struggling to forgive yourself over a specific situation or a specific action that you've done in the past, it is because there are things that you are going to need to do in order to be able to bridge that gap inside of you between self-loathing, guilt, shame, and whatnot to forgiveness, love, and inner peace. There's a gap going on, and it's because there's things that you need to do, actions that you need to take, things like that in order to be able to bridge that gap. So number one, you are gonna have to recognize the wrongdoing. So you've got to pinpoint it, you've got to acknowledge it, whatever it is that you feel that you have done to wrong or hurt another person. Now this is the first and arguably the most difficult step to take toward forgiving yourself. I believe that we sometimes get stuck in a loop of madness or a vicious cycle, if you will, whereby we justify, we minimize, or we make excuses in order to make it seem somehow acceptable or warranted in some way, the things that we've done. So you know that you're doing that when your actions may seem justified in your mind, like, you know, they wronged me first, or they did this, that, and the other, that's why I had to clap back, or that's why I had to do this. And so it may seem justified in your mind, but you know that your heart, you live with feelings of guilt and shame over the incident. So sometimes it's just simply that it's too hard for us to face. So that is why we must acknowledge it, pinpoint it, and accept what is going on inside of us, the emotions. Number two, once you have faced the wrongdoing and once you've pinpointed it, you're most likely going to be met with feelings of deep regret and or remorse. Webster's dictionary defines remorse as a gnawing distress from a sense of guilt for past wrongs. So of course we don't want to live with any sort of gnawing inside of us. While expressing remorse for your past wrongs, it's important to know that making mistakes make you human. Not a bad human, just human. So you can be a good person who makes mistakes as opposed to a bad person because of your mistakes. I'm going to repeat that because it's a very important concept to understand. You can be a good person who makes mistakes as opposed to a bad person because of your mistakes. Once you realize that, once you accept that, it is going to be so much easier and it's going to take you one step closer to forgiving yourself. So you guys, if you are enjoying this video thus far, or if you have found it to be helpful for you in any way, I ask that you hit that like button because it does help me out, it helps my channel out, and I ask that you consider subscribing and joining this family. Okay, back to it. Number 3, making amends is definitely a big part of your journey to self-forgiveness. When you are apologizing and when you try to correct your mistake with those that you have hurt, it enables you to more easily forgive yourself. So when you know that you have made positive changes in your life after said mistake, at that point, all you can do is forgive yourself, right? So that you can move on with your life. You have to move on with your life. What's also helpful is to find a way to grow as a person and learn from the experience. Tell yourself, let yourself know that you have truly learned from this mistake and that you will not be repeating it in the future. If you have truly done all of those things, and if you have truly done all you can for those that you have hurt or those that you have wronged, it makes it much easier for you to forgive yourself because it gives you that sense of, I have earned the right to forgive myself. Even if the person that you wronged has not been able to forgive you, if you have done all that you can and if you've done all of those things, then you should still be able to have that sense of, I've earned the right to forgive myself, so I'm gonna go ahead and forgive myself. So yeah, guys, it is extremely important to know that harboring a cloud of guilt and unforgiveness towards yourself in your heart, it will eventually bleed into all areas of your life in a negative way. Self-loathing, self-hatred, it's just gonna gnaw at you, and in turn, you may lash out at others, you may lash out at your loved ones, you may lash out at the very person who you've hurt that is so hard for you to forgive yourself over. But if you punish yourself and if you refuse to forgive yourself, you're also punishing your loved ones, because it absolutely can become a miserable existence, and we all know that misery loves company. 100%, you should be forgiving yourself for yourself. However, also, you can acknowledge, though, that self-forgiveness is also helping your loved ones, because when you are at peace and you're not mad at the world, you're not lashing out, and you are just living your best life. The Bible tells us that we have all fallen short of the glory of God. That means that we are all sinners. We all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. And so if Jesus can forgive you for any mistake that you have come to him and asked him to forgive you for, and you have the remorse, and you have repented, turned away from it, so corrected your actions, if Jesus forgives you for all of those things, then what makes you not forgive your own self? It's like, who are we to not forgive ourselves when Jesus himself forgives us? So yeah, you guys, just remember that to forgive yourself is an act of love, because love is forgiveness. Whenever you're forgiving somebody else, you're doing it out of love. You wouldn't be able to forgive if you didn't have love in your heart. And so to forgive is to love. So when you're able to forgive yourself, that means that you are loving yourself. It's like, how is it that we are more susceptible or more prone to forgive others that have wronged us when they ask for our forgiveness, but we cannot forgive ourselves? It is all about love, you guys. And if you have love, if you're able to forgive other people, that means that you have love. And if you have love, then love yourself. That's how you're able to forgive yourself, is when you love yourself. So with that, we are going to do Spanish word of the day. Spanish word of today is going to be I love me. I love myself. I love me, which is me quiero. You could say me quiero mucho, which means I love myself a whole lot. Me quiero mucho. I love me. I love myself a lot. Me quiero mucho. If you're somebody who has watched this video to this point, I just want to shout out to you and say thank you very much for doing so. I would love for you to comment, let it go. That means that you have received this message and you are going to begin working on forgiving yourself, and you know, we've got to let it go. If you are going to hit that subscribe button, do not forget to hit the bell, and even if you're already subscribed to this channel, don't forget to hit the bell before you leave, because on Friday I am going to be doing my BoxyCharm and Ipsy unboxing and try on. You don't want to miss that. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you will not miss a video of mine. Okay, you guys, I will see you Friday. Bye. I'm hungry. These things are bomb.